Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners. Hi, I'm CJ, and I've done phone sex for 23 years. Let's get started. I'd like to remind you that I look forward to reading your questions and comments, so please email me at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. So I, CJ, have a confession. I took a call last night, and by the time you listen to this, it's been about a couple weeks, and I'm not very proud of myself. This doesn't happen very often, but I was getting ready for vacation. When I'm recording this, I'm a few days away from vacation, but by the time you listen to this, I'll be back, and I had a great time. No, I really did. Anyway, so I'm a couple of days away from vacation, and I probably shouldn't be working, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, and I get a call from a new caller. I really do pride myself on listening, like I've told you a million times, and discerning bullshit from what's real. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter why or what the caller is calling me about. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. So the guy calls me up and he says, I need your advice. Now, my last podcast or a few podcasts before, I said, I don't offer advice. But this guy said, I want your advice. So I said, okay. And I thought he was real. He said, I went out to go get a 12-pack of beer. And when I came back, I heard arguing between my father and my girlfriend. Okay, so far so good. So then he says, they're in the bedroom and the door is locked. Now, my BS radar goes off, but okay, I'll go with it for the moment. He says, what should I do? I said, knock on the door. I hear him knock on a door really loudly. I don't hear anything. So about now I'm thinking, he's trying to fool me. Now, I should be going along with this, but I'm just not in love with the way he's going about it. And it really shouldn't matter. So he says, what should I do? I said, keep banging on the door. He's not doing that, of course. But then I start hearing a porn in the background. Lots of oohing and ahhing and moaning and groaning. And he says to me, what's that? I said, what do you mean? He says, what's going on? I said, you can't hear that? He says, I don't know. Now, way before this, of course, I'm thinking, he's playing with me and I don't want to be played with. This role play or this whatever it is isn't working for me. It doesn't have to work for me. But for some reason, I got really annoyed. I shouldn't have because this isn't about me. But I say to him, I hear it very clearly. And he goes, but what is it? I said, it sounds like a porn. And then I backtracked and I said, it sounds like someone's having sex. He says, really? I said, yeah, can't you hear that? I hear it over the phone. And now I'm annoyed, just completely annoyed because this fantasy, whatever he's got going on, has gone south in my book. He hasn't planned this very well, and he's sounding extremely innocent. And to be fair, it sounded really stupid. And I'm sitting here listening to this heavy breathing and two people fucking, and he's telling me it's through a door, and he doesn't know what's going on. And he just sounds like unbelievable. To be honest, I should have played along, and I didn't. And eventually, after 6 or 7 minutes of him saying, what is that? I don't know, he hung up. That was very wrong of me. But when you hear it from my end, it sounded utterly ridiculous. I felt stupid, like he was trying to make me feel stupid and like a fool. And I've always said it's not about me, right? But it really just was not good. So anyway, I just wanted to confess I did a very bad thing and I did not play along because I felt like he wanted to make me feel stupid. It was very strange. Don't be so obvious. But I couldn't help myself. I think I was at my wit's end and I just wanted to go on vacation. So I wanted to confess that I'm not always, the girl, person, woman on the other end of the phone listening to whatever's going on and interacting and doing what they want. I could not go along with that. I was thinking about the calls I've taken, and I don't know if I've mentioned this one, but there are people who I've told you just want to talk, and there was a caller I had who called for a while. It was 2 or 3 times a week, and it tapered off, and then it came back, and this guy would call for 4 hours at a time. Yes, you heard me correctly. 4 hours at a time. My friends and family would say, "What do you do on the phone for 4 hours?" Well, you listen to someone watch a movie, a regular movie. And after a while, after he stopped watching a movie, we would talk about the movie. Then we would talk about music and all sorts of things. And it was very rarely about phone sex. Yeah, you have a nice, sexy voice, but, hey, have you seen this movie? Have you listened to this record? And I'm like, okay. This guy seemed a bit troubled, and there were a couple of times he would call me on the way home from a work event, and he was a bit drunk. He was driving under the influence, but he would tell me he was just fine and that he was not far from home, which was not true on either count. He was not fine, and he was far from home. I was on the phone with him, and it was very disconcerting because I wanted him to get home safely. Fortunately enough, both times, he realized that he was too drunk to drive, and he would pull over. Good job, dude. But then he wouldn't hang up. He would just pass out. So the phone sex girl in me is always saying, you can make money and just sit on the phone and listen to him snoring or breathing or whatever. But, put the phone down, do what I got to do, and stay on the phone with him for 3 hours or more, whatever, or hang up. What I would do is I would gently nudge and say his name. And if he didn't wake up after a couple of minutes, maybe the most I stayed on the phone was like 4 minutes, I would hang up. I'd say his name a few times and wait and see if I heard any like moaning like he was trying to get up, but that never happened. I hung up. I know there are girls out there who would stay on the phone until he woke up, but I couldn't do that. And days would go by and he would call me sober and he would thank me for not staying on the phone and running up his bill. He would ask me what happened, even though he kind of remembered most of what would happen, but I told him I couldn't take advantage of him. Of course, he stopped calling me. It was getting very expensive. I think the shortest call we ever had was about an hour, and even that's expensive. So what happens is people realize, holy shit, I'm spending way too much money, and they stop calling or they call much less frequently. I can't blame them. But there are other people who tell me it's a habit or an obsession they can't get rid of. They want, but they don't know how. They want to stop, and they just don't know how. It's a crutch of some kind. So it's okay they call me when they call me, and they stop when they stop. There's nothing I can do about it. I could try to shorten the time, but I'm not their monitor. I'm not their babysitter. If they call me, it's on them. And at the 1 minute mark, we get a message saying there's 1 minute left. And at that point, they can re-up the call, add more money and stay on with me, or they can hang up. It's up to them. I do hear that a lot, that people have been on either this platform or have called women on other phone lines, and they just can't stop themselves. And I think besides having a sex fetish or a sex habit or addiction, maybe it's more a combination of having someone to talk to about sex and having someone to talk to, period. So when a guy says to me, this is really expensive, I can't help myself, I know that they will be a sporadic caller. I never say I'll lower my price because it's pretty damn low right now. I'm going to try to increase my price next year. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes that only lasts a day, but we'll see. But there are multiple platforms. So what happens is they say, oh, I'm calling too much, I got to stop. And then they'll call another platform and they'll go back and forth, or they'll call different ones all at one time. So I don't know what these guys do, and I don't care. It's sad when a regular leaves, because it's sad because I've gotten to know them and I like the money, but I've gotten to know them. And, I never think that a caller is going to last forever. They're not. They're going to come and go, and maybe they'll come back and maybe they'll leave. It is what it is. So like I said in the beginning of this, I started recording this before I went on vacation. Now I'm back. And one of the things I do think about while I'm away is, will I lose callers? People can get impatient if I'm gone too long, and I do worry about that because I have regulars who love me. And if I'm not there for them, what are they going to do? They're not going to stay loyal. They're going to find someone else. And is that someone else better than me? I can't really worry about it, but it does cross my mind. It doesn't keep me from going away on vacation. So in this particular case, I went on a cruise, and I do not buy the internet package because I want to be away from everybody. And when I go to port, I start getting messages, and the messages say, hey, you've got email or you've got a message. So there were some people who wrote to me while I was away, and I wrote them back saying I'm on vacation, but I'll be back soon. I don't think there's a way for me to reach out to my callers and say, hey, I'm going on vacation, other than emailing each of them one by one. And I don't do that. So now I'm back, and I'll let my guys know I'm back so they can call me. So I do that. And I know that I've gotten notices from some of the girls saying, hey, I'm on vacation and I'll be back. And, I think we're all entitled to a vacation. And if the guys find someone better than me, Good luck to them. I wish them well. I recently had a caller where I don't want to be too specific, so I'll keep it quite general. We decided to go off the platform and talk, so we did, and our ages were significantly, well, let me put it this way. There was a large gap between our ages, quite large. We exchanged pictures, and here I go. I think in what my last podcast, or I mentioned actually, it's in the first podcast in my encore, that I only met one person, and it's still true to this day. So I will say that, but this person wanted to potentially meet and potentially date, and I, of course, was extraordinarily hesitant. We talked a couple times. I was very cautious, but liked him and wanted to see if this would go anywhere. Once we got off the platform, we spoke less, and he wasn't a frequent caller. But when we did talk, it was for several hours. He has since disappeared. I lost him as a caller. I lost him as a quote-unquote friend. He did reach out to me. He told me why he disappeared. I'm going to keep it really vague, so he had some issues, and you just never know what someone is going through. I think it might have been better to keep him on the platform and kept talking to him that way. But you live and learn, and I've always said from the beginning that people do get feelings, and you are human, and sometimes you can't help yourself. But the good news is, like I've said before, I've done this long enough where my feelings aren't hurt, and I'm okay. And I hope that eventually he's okay, because he's a good person, and I wish him nothing but the best. I wish him well, and maybe one day he'll call me on the line or off the line, and we'll continue to have the role plays that we had, or that's over and done with, and we can just be friendly. But we're just going to keep it the way it is. I recently got an email from someone who's doing phone sex in Kenya, and I found that to be super exciting, and she wanted some advice, so I hope that I was able to help her out, even if it's just a little bit. People do this all over the world, and it's very exciting, and I hope she's successful. This week's question is, I bet you're watching TV or doing your nails while you're on a phone call. Are you? I think people have watched too many movies seeing that is what we do. The answer to that is yes and no. My TV is always on with no sound because there could be a long time between calls. So I watch TV with the sound on, but when somebody calls me, I turn the sound off. I cannot do two things at once. Yes, I can walk and chew gum, but what I can't do is be distracted so much that I can't pay attention to the caller. I'm not doing my nails. I get them done. And I'm not paying attention to what is on TV. I'm focusing on the call. I have in the past not paid attention to a caller for whatever reason. Maybe I'm getting a text or something, but I learned that distraction could cause a caller to hang up sooner if I'm not paying attention, if they think I'm not focused 100% on them. And why would I not be? I need to focus on them. They called me for a reason. It's not fair for me to be distracted and be paying attention to something else. There's enough time for that after they hang up. So I'm sure there are girls who do it, but not me. I want to focus on my caller and make sure that they are taken care of, that they are well taken care of by me. Thank you for the question or comment. I appreciate it, and I hope I've answered it right or to your satisfaction. I can only speak for me, want to pay attention to the caller and not do anything else so that I am not distracted. So that's all for now. Thank you for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. Please reach out to me with your questions and comments at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Monday. Check me out on Facebook at CJ's Podcast. I changed it. It's not CJ anymore. It's CJ's Podcast. And Instagram and TikTok at PhoneQueen1. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new podcast is dropped. I do have a question. I just thought of it just now. Do you want me to do seasons? Season 1, take a break. Season 2, take a break. Or do you want me to just keep doing it? If you have an opinion, email me. Until next time, stay sexy.